So our next presenter is Connor Ratliff, and his presentation is Just a Stranger's Dream, a unified field theory of Twin Peaks.
Coming Sunday, April 8th.
She's dead, wrapped in plastic.
11:30 a.m., February 24th. Entering the town of Twin Peaks.
Bobby, did you kill Laura Palmer?
Sunday, April 8th, from David Lynch, Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks loves questions. The whole thing starts with the big question, one of the iconic questions in TV history, who killed Laura Palmer? And throughout the series, there are questions both asked directly by characters, and almost every scene seems to invoke a question in the viewer, even if it's just at the level of what's going on, what does this mean? I would say, and I don't think this is a controversial point, Twin Peaks hates answers. They hate giving answers, and it shows. They typically, when they do provide an answer to any of their big questions, they do it with the demeanor of someone who is mad that they have been forced to answer that question. And to the point where I think the big takeaway from season 3 is that there are no wrong answers anymore. All of your theories are correct. All of them, not some of them, all of them are correct. And so I'm going to talk about 4 of the big questions in Twin Peaks. Of course, we'll get to who killed Laura Palmer in a minute, but I want to go ahead and dispense with, not only do they begin the whole series of the question, the end of season 2 ends on a question. And the question is, how's Annie? And this is asked, and everybody knows this, but I'll say it anyway, just so that this makes sense if someone hasn't. Annie Blackburn was a suicidal ex-nun that Agent Cooper dated, and she was crowned Miss Twin Peaks, kidnapped by Wyndham Earle, dragged into the Black Lodge, and then she was rescued, but we didn't know whether she was alive, whether she was dead, and the series concluded its second season with bad Agent Cooper, possessed by the demon Bob, asking, how's Annie, how's Annie, how's Annie? And this question was not answered by the prequel Firewalk with Me. More than 25 years later, it was not answered in 18 hours of Twin Peaks Season 3. It was finally answered in the second book that Mark Frost put out last year, Twin Peaks: The Final Dossier. And I'll give you the short version of the answer to this question by showing you the clip of Bad Cooper asking it, and then with a little help from a clip from another iconic television series, Mad Men.
How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie?
Not great, Bob.
Yeah. Annie Blackburn was basically catatonic after she was rescued from the Black Lodge. Things did not go well for her. I think of all of the characters in Twin Peaks, she is maybe the most unfortunate. She dated Cooper for, I think, less than a week, and for her troubles, her life was ruined. And Dale Cooper never even asked how she was. That's a pretty grim fate. Now, the question, who killed Laura Palmer, they've actually answered this question now multiple times, never very well, I would say, because they didn't want to answer it. ABC forced them initially. They were forced to answer it at least twice with 2 different answers until they finally went a step further with season 3 and kind of made the question almost unanswerable. So I'm going to show you 4 ways that the show sort of answered it. 2 of them official, 2 of them sort of, we'll say, semi-official. And then I'm going to show you my own personal theory from October 1990 of who I thought killed Laura Palmer, which I think is pretty good. So here we go. Now, the first theory was actually in the European pilot, which was a contractually obligated ending to the pilot episode. Here's how they solved it, all right?
My wife has just remembered. She believes that she saw the killer this morning in Laura's bedroom.
It's just a guy. Bob's just a guy. He was in the room that morning. She remembered it later that day. He's just a guy in the basement named Bob. He's not a demon. He's immediately killed by Mike, and that's the end of the mystery. Cooper got to town that afternoon, and somebody else shot him, and that's it. Now then we have the real official answer, which was that it was Leland Palmer, Laura's dad, possessed by Bob. Back in the day, if you ever talked to anyone who stopped watching at the end of season 1 and then they asked you later who killed Laura Palmer, and you said it was her dad, but he was possessed by a demon named Bob, they were never regretful that they stopped watching. Like no one ever was like, oh, I should have kept up. It weeded out the viewers that didn't deserve Twin Peaks. So now we have their third official thing, which is that she was never murdered at all, which kind of makes it so once you have multiple timelines, like it feels to me like all the endings are true. Like they shot an ending back in the day that was meant to as a red herring. They shot Van Horn killing Maddie Ferguson, and I think that's as legitimate an ending as anything now that we're dealing with a world where she was killed and then she wasn't. And here's my theory. I thought it was Andy Brennan.
Agent Cooper, can you hear me? It's Andy.
It's Andy. They said this for 5 minutes at the top of the second season premiere. It's all you heard.
Can you hear me?
It's Andy.
Agent Cooper.
Agent Cooper, it's Andy.
Agent Cooper.
This is the guy who cried at the crime scene in the first episode. His comic relief. When they threw the rock, it hit Andy, and they're like, oh, that's funny. But no, he was the killer.
Sorry,
5 minutes at the top of season 2, I thought they were actually telling the country, Agent Cooper, it's Andy. It's Andy, Agent Cooper. Agent Cooper, it's Andy. If that had been the reveal, everyone was so furious with that scene with the old man delivering the milk. But this is a guy who was clearly traumatized. I didn't cry. He found the scene with the picture. He was capable of things. He shot a man. It's a big heroic moment. I think this would have been such a conventionally satisfying but surprising ending to the mystery. That it was Andy Brennan. And what a tease, what a taunt to actually... Can you hear me? Agent Cooper, it's Andy. It breaks my heart that it wasn't this. But I feel like I'm right now. Like, I feel like if we live in a world where, the guy in the basement did it, where it was the dad possessed by Bob, it didn't happen, I think all of these theories are now basically true. And I think, if we can't even answer the question whether she was killed, I think this is leading toward the big question that season 3 was answering. Which is, I watched that final episode, hour 18, like everybody else, and I had no idea what was going on. And by the time Cooper asks another big question, what year is this? And we are never getting the answer to that question. That is a question that, the questions have gotten so much harder, because with Who Killed Laura Palmer, you could just pick somebody and be like, maybe it was them. But what year is this? How are we supposed to, you can't even take, I think it's 1988. You can't even feel good about that. But I think what they're saying to us, there's a big thing in this about, we are the dreamer who lives inside the dream, but who is the dreamer? I think we are the dreamer. I think that's what they're telling us. I think the whole point of season 3, it was telegraphed to us in the first song we hear in the Roadhouse at the end of episode 2. I think what they were basically saying is this show was our dream, and now it is just a stranger's dream. And the stranger is us. We are the dreamer. All of our theories are now correct. They never wanted to give us answers in the first place. That was a contractual obligation. It was a network pressure. They finally got the freedom to do what they wanted. And that last hour is an hour of television by people who do not want to give us answers. They want us to figure it out for ourselves. So I want to leave you with, now this is the song Shadow by the Chromatics, which sort of told us a lot about how Twin Peaks was going to end, and introduced the idea, and I realized I gave this presentation an ambitious title, a unified field theory. I just wanted to make it sound fancy. I'm basically saying we're all correct. There's no wrong answer. Everybody gets a participation trophy. So let's go ahead and let's see the final video.
We're like the dreamer who dreams and then lives inside the dream.
We are like the dreamer who dreams and then lives inside the dream.
But who is the dreamer?
who is the dreamer? A very powerful, uneasy feeling came over me.
Took a picture from